Big university like this, nothing happens without collaboration, and some of the examples I will share, they're really out of the long-standing collaboration between the research of Stanford and, of course, the action of Stanford. And the interdisciplinary education focus that started in 2003 also very much gave birth to the foundation of Sustainable Stanford, and really looking at strategically what can university do to implement sustainability and create results that ultimately showcase, again, sustainability by action. So our mission very much focuses on sustainability, having that as a core value, as Eric mentioned, that's true for R&DE, but how do we make it value add? Because unless something is value add, core value by itself kind of floats in the air. And how do we make it a tangible experience on campus? So that's very much the thread of what we do. So we try to, in our mission, integrate sustainability in everything we do. That's actually the one thing our leadership tell us as we are hired on campus is it's not just some random acts of greenness that we do, but sustainability has to permeate in everything we do, in our decision criteria, in our collaboration, in the projects that we pick, lessons that we learn, and even the things that we don't get to implement and shelve for a couple of years. This takes time. Implementing sustainability really takes time. And those of us who are practitioners on campus really believe that to be true. And we just really love it when we hear our young students mention some of the same experiences they've gained through their venture capital experiences, that, yeah, sometimes failure is part of the learning and it takes time to implement, and you have to collaborate and you have to learn decision systems, and you do have to learn about the institutional barriers. So collaborative governance is at the core of many of universities' work, and the 10,000 staff who support the university in its academic mission believe in, but there are specific strategies that we do deploy. We focus a lot on assessment and information. We focus a lot on really understanding our business systems and measuring where our footprint actually is today and should be tomorrow. We do a lot of the conservation campaign, and believe it or not, spend a lot of time on outreach and events, even though towards the end of the day, sometimes it's hard to keep attention to that. And through all that, we serve the core areas of sustainability, obvious ones: energy, water, waste, transportation, food and dining we discussed for a while, and also all the areas in between, how they are interlinked, and how does the decision on transportation for one building impact the whole system. So the university is such an interesting work and experimentation on seeing what we are seeing in the classroom and research. We are not just leading by doing, we're doing by doing, and hopefully as a result, leading. And we do that because Stanford ends up being an institution that people talk about, not just for our teaching and research, but the business of Stanford is very much of interest to our larger community in Silicon Valley and community as well. So one of the things I wanted to share with you is, and I really appreciated Marsha McNutt's keynote today where she was talking about different audiences and the motivations and incentives, and looking at the university as a living laboratory. We have found exactly those categories and how to motivate them and how to give individuals options to participate in conservation or research or connecting and the roles on campus to what is happening to Stanford as the land, as the university, as the physical home that we come to work to. We are launching a lot of the new programs, having studied behavior and incentives, believe it or not, for 5 years now. It's a really complicated process in motivating individuals, because the first answer we hear is, what would my actions do? A few engineers can do all the energy retrofits in the buildings, but what would my actions do? And we always say, well, your readiness to contribute is really the foundation to everything. So we're trying to energize the entire campus and campus citizenship and understand that everybody's action matters. But of course, what we do behind the scene overall infrastructurally make a big difference as well. So some highlights about the buildings: from really paying attention to sustainability standards from 2000 onwards. Those of you who are part of the community, You know, we've built a lot of buildings in the last decade or so, and in each cases, we've gotten more and more stringent in our sustainability standards, what we expect, and tremendous collaboration with the academic community and research, because the buildings are really where all this academic research is being housed. So if we are not able to reflect the intent of the program, that essentially is not successful. So that is the #1 example of collaboration among faculty and staff and exemplifying sustainability by doing. Water is a big area that comes up a lot, especially us being a drought state. The conservation efforts that the campus has done as an institution is really astonishing, studying what people are able to pull up to date. Since 2000, we've saved our potable water usage about 39%. I don't know very many organizations that can actually give you that example. That's all not just through retrofits and efficiency and better buildings and better road, but also through individual behavior and conservation. Transportation is another area where Stanford is studied as an institution, as an organization, as a city and municipality. And many of you know that through the Transportation Demand Management Program, this is where behavior is studied very carefully. How do we get folks not to drive to and from campus? How do we get everybody to engage in transportation? And this is also an area we've learned a tremendous amount from our faculty through various behavioral incentive programs and what motivates individuals and what's the right amount of incentive. And through a lot of learning and experimentation, successes, and some failures, our drive alone rate has dropped to a level that a lot of organizations, especially companies in the Silicon Valley, always ask us for the recipe. And how did you do it? How did you motivate 35-some thousand people on a regular basis to stick to a behavior? And waste and recycling and composting being the hottest topic that's coming up, our diversion recycling rate right now is at 66. We all know that we have to get to 75 at least by 2020, but where the real attention comes, and we hope we can further motivate the campus population, which includes all of us, to do, is to pay attention to organics. 50% of our recycling bins still have organics in them, and that cannot be the case at this day and age. So through better understanding of what's recyclable, what's not, what's compostable, what's not, where to go to do that, we could actually improve our diversion rate from 66 to 75 within just a few years. And that's a strictly behavioral, informational, incentive-based example.